Hello.
And welcome to Socially Unsocial.
I'm Patty,
And I'm Danielle.
and we're smiling so big.
I know, even though you guys have been listening to us, we haven't really seen or talked to each other in a few weeks. So it's a little weird.
I know.
It's exciting weird.
Yeah, we're
like,
giddy.
yeah.
We're happy.
Saying socially unsocial hasn't come out of my mouth in a few weeks. So,
Aw.
yeah.
Well, good job holding down the fort. Yeah, how have you been, guys? Good?
I hope everyone's enjoying the summer so far.
I can't believe it's summer.
I know, it's just so funny because, the people at my gym, they're like, oh, kids are out. Like, oh, how am I going to survive? This is awful.
The
The
parents?
parents,
Oh, I was
yeah.
gonna say, okay, it's okay.
No.
Not taking over the city.
And I just laugh because I'm like, it's just so funny because everyone just is like, oh, I love my kids so much. And then also the end of the school year is coming. And they're like, and then literally by the time school's almost take them back, get rid of them. I can't.
The one thing I have to say is I just love not having to pack lunches. So this morning we had to get the kids up for summer school because summer is just so long and I don't want to read books and do math problems all summer so they don't forget the stuff. But I do notice that when they go back, it's hard for them to get back in the swing of it. So anyways, they're in summer school, just a few hours a day, but I have to get them up out the door and at the school by 8:15. So I can't wait for that to be over. It's 2.5 weeks of that.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Not terrible.
Yeah.
And then last summer, I felt like I kept putting them in camps. And there'd be this camp and then that camp. And it was so exciting. And I was doing all the things. And they were in camps together because they're at a good age. And this year, I'm like, I don't want to wake up. Everyone want to sleep in. I'm good with that. Let's just have a quiet summer. It won't be quiet because I have 3 boys. But
Right. I think the commitment of camps, if you have to sign up for a whole week or for the whole summer, can be intense. But if there's okay, one day you can go here and everyone can
Yeah.
have a free day away from everybody else.
yeah. And obviously working parents, you have to put your kids somewhere. So
Right.
you're doing the camps. I hope that goes well for you at drop off and stuff. Hope it's easy. I always think of teachers or people that work in schools. I'm like, man, so now you're off and your kids are what are you doing this summer?
Going crazy.
Surviving?
Or spending
Thriving?
a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Or just go outside with a sprinkler. Target has them for $8. I don't know. My kids are obsessed with water. If it makes mud, that's even better. So messy.
But there are so many kids I feel today that don't like going outside. So then it's how do you entice them to get off the couch, get off YouTube, get off their video games, to go outside?
Well, I would say first and foremost, go outside with them first for a little bit and make it exciting. And then hopefully my kids don't need me to play. They're like, all right, we got this now. So hopefully then they start to learn. I saw somebody posted yesterday. They set up this sink outside for their kid to have this sensory, little moment. And she was like, that lasted 30 seconds. And now I have all this mud and all this garbage from IKEA to clean up. And it was a really cute setup, but apparently it didn't work. So good luck
A
to
for
her.
effort, yeah.
A
Good
for
luck
effort.
to all you parents for the next 2 months. I'm praying for you.
Also, get a stopwatch. Last night, I looked at my kids after dinner and I said, who can run around the house 3 times the fastest? I'm going to time you. And literally, they sprinted out that door. I'm like, I love that for me. They're not competitive with each other to really competitive, but they're just enough that they want to know how fast they are going around the house. It's so funny.
That's a nice of you that you actually time them. I pretend. I just say, okay, I'm going. Oh, you just see if you can get better each and every. Oh, you did it. You did it. Staring at my phone without the stopwatch going.
That is a genius move there.
So I was driving here today, and people still think it's weird that there's still people out there that listen to the radio just because, put on Spotify,
Who
put
isn't?
on a book on tape, an
Yeah.
audio book.
Listen to a podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who listens to the radio these days?
I like it in the mornings because sometimes they talk about topics and then it inspires me. So there was this story, and I think this is a good topic on a podcast. And I'm sure in the grand scheme of things and the millions of episodes I feel like we've done, we probably talk about this to a certain extent. But it was about when you get the chance to take your shot. So this guy was on an airplane coming back from a trip, and he's like, I have my, what do you call it, a routine when I get on a plane. He's like, I get on the plane, I put on my sunglasses, I like to have a cocktail, and then I put on whatever I'm watching. So he happened to be watching Friends or whatever was playing. And this girl tapped him on the shoulders and was like, "Hi, are you single, by the way?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." And she's like, "Okay, well, I was just like kind of feeling your vibe, your Air Force Ones, your white t-shirt, your glasses, your cocktail, you're watching Friends." And they started talking throughout the flight.
Like, was she next to him or behind him?
Across from him.
So they were both on the aisle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a year ago, and they just got engaged.
That's cool.
So then on the radio, they asked him if she didn't say, "Hey, are you single? Would you have reached out and said anything?" And he goes, "Absolutely not." He's like, "I can't even imagine where my life would be." He's like, because after 5 to 6 months, he's like, I knew she was the one.
Aww.
So isn't that crazy? If that girl didn't have enough balls and was more afraid of no than the opportunity of a yes, her life would be completely different right now.
Okay, all I'm thinking too is, what if she tapped him and was like, "Hey, are you single, by the way?" And then his angry wife was like behind her or something, and then she had to sit there the whole flight. That is so awkward. Good for her. She didn't do it at the end, I guess, right?
No, so my thought process is she probably was sitting, and then he walked on the plane after, so he saw him sit alone.
Mm-hmm. A little detective work before shooting your
but
shot.
Either way, like, bravo. I would like to like meet that girl, sit down and have a conversation with her, and just see where her life started, where it is now, like the balls she has, because that's unheard of.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, most women wait for the guys to make the first shot.
Totally.
So it just got me thinking, and it's like there's so many people out there that probably have been presented with so many opportunities and so many chances to take their shot, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. And I'm guilty of it too, because I'm like, I think sometimes I'm like, okay, that's great. You only live once, and who the hell cares? But then I find myself in moments, I'm like, I didn't do this because I was afraid of a no. I didn't do this because I was afraid of a no. And I know you've been on a similar path lately.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that it takes a lot of confidence, and also like a little bit of, like you said, like you only live once mentality. And then what's going on in your life right now that you have that bit of confidence that you are just going to go for it. And then it's going to fade away and come back and fade away and come back, depending on the scenario. Obviously now I'm venturing out, starting my own business, doing my cycle studio, and I'm super excited, but there's so many days where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And it's totally a roller coaster, because some days are easier and some hours of the day are easier. And then you get these moments of panic, right? But in like a relationship type of way, that was like really cool of this girl. And then now it makes me, I was like thinking back, like what happened with you and Jay when you guys got together? Like who started that? Like, I can't remember. Like, alcohol started it?
But pretty much, probably, yeah. I think him, because I was sober and he was the patron, so I think he had been drinking. But I still feel like, okay,
that's cute.
I'm not discrediting anyone and going out to bars and not taking your shot. But I feel like a bar is like more of a reasonable atmosphere where it's like, okay, people are going out to be social. People are going out to meet people. When you're on a plane, you're at a high because you're going somewhere, or you're at a low because you're going back home. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And then you're in close. You can't just get up and walk out the door and get in your car and drive home. Now you're stuck with that person.
If they say no.
If they say no, or just like they say, yeah, I am, but I'm not interested. Like, like if it doesn't go well, like you're stuck on that flight for 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. I don't think I've ever done anything that bold in my life.
I did once.
Oh.
This was a long time ago.
Would I know this?
I don't know. So I worked at Country Donuts for a million years, a gazillion years. And I think I was home from college at this point, and I went back and, still trying to figure out what I was doing, and I worked there. And there was this guy that came in for his coffee every day, and I was like, oh my God. He is beautiful. He is so good looking. Like, here I am, like, getting to work at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So I look like shit. Like there's no makeup. Like I don't even know if I've even brushed my hair. Like in an apron at a donut shop. You know, I'm like, if I said anything to him, he'd be like, yeah, okay, good luck, lady. You know, like, so it took a while. And I was like, okay, I'm going to say something or like pass him a note.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. I don't even remember what the note said. Obviously, it was so long ago.
Oh my God, you actually did write a note?
I did
Like
write a
check
note.
yes or no?
Like, hey, you come in here. I know it's always so busy. Like, but I would love, to like get to know you or
Did you like
whatever.
stick it in his coffee? Like,
So when I handed him the coffee, and
No.
now I don't even remember if I did it or if like there was a time where like the girl I used to work with every morning, I'm like, here, if I'm not here and he's here, pass this note. And then he ended up calling and we dated.
No.
We dated for a little bit.
No.
Yes, it did work out. I mean, for a little bit. He was a little crazy, I think. So
all the good looking ones are.
he had 2 kids. Like this was like there was a lot. It was a lot for me at my age.
Wait,
Like,
how old were you and how old was he?
I was out of college. I think this was like 2000, had to be, because I think Dominique or one of my siblings I know is graduating high school.
And did he go to the graduation with
No,
you?
but he got like weird, like he was, yeah, it was just like if I didn't return a call right away, like it was
Ooh.
more one of those people. And I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. I'm too young for this shit, But I did, and I'm glad I did,
good for
because,
you.
like, took the opportunity. I mean, even though it didn't, end with a happily ever after, but my life is where it is now, and I'm happy that it didn't end in a happily ever after. But I was like very shocked, that I had enough balls to do that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's cute. It reminds me of that George Strait song, which you probably don't know, but I think it literally is called like check yes or no or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Oh, you do know
Yeah.
it? Oh, was that your theme song that summer? Is that how you know it? That's great. I don't think I've written a note. When I have to write nowadays, I'm like, whose handwriting is this? My hand hurts.
Oh yeah.
Writing, and then actually, it I think came back to me when I started writing thank you notes once I had kids, or like maybe during the wedding season. But like there was a solid point there in life where I was not using a pen at all.
I think a lot of people, we forget how to write, we forget how to spell. I forget how to spell a lot sometimes. I have to like Google it 'cause I'm like, this doesn't look right.
Well, yeah, when you stare at the word too long and then you're like, no.
Right.
All of a sudden this word is not right.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. They'll get it. They'll get the gist of it. They'll know what I'm trying to say.
Well, autocorrect. You don't need to know how to spell. half
Right,
the
and that's
time.
the other problem, because when you're writing a thank you note or a happy birthday card, it's not autocorrecting.
It is not.
And your brain's going crazy.
It's like the archaic ages. We're like, what's
Yeah.
happening? How do I spell? My hands are hurting.
So do you think at your age, besides, okay, so that was business that you're taking your shot. Do you think that taking your shot and that opportunity when you see it has become easier as you've gotten older, or do you think it's gotten harder?
Ooh, I feel like it's a two-parter. I feel like there's 2 sides, that can kind of take over. If you let your anxiety and your worries and your doubts and all that stuff fill your head. Like I'm even just thinking the last time that I quote unquote like tried to take my shot, it was like an interview for a job thing. And I mean, I didn't get it. So then I was like, F this, I'm going to go off on my own then, because like, so you shoot your shot and you try to put yourself out there and it's so nerve wracking. And then all these things that can pop into your head of all, like how you're saying with the country donuts guy, like you're sitting there being like, I'm in an apron and this and that. You allow yourself sometimes to go down this rabbit hole of, I'm not good enough. This isn't going to work out. But then if you start to think like, well, what if it does? Like I literally have on my water cup that quote. I'm sure everyone's heard it, but I love it. And it says like, what if you fall? Oh, but what if you fly? And it's like, well, which one? It's like the devil on your shoulder or the angel on your
Right.
shoulder. Which one are you going to allow yourself to listen to? And which one is going to kind of fuel you? So I think that it goes back and forth all the time. I think it depends on, the support team I have around me. It depends on whether or not I like kind of say it a little bit to my husband and if he agrees with it or if he shoots it down. Well, then that kind of navigates. But sometimes like with that job I just spoke of, it was with like a leadership role. And I really wanted it. And he, like, when I said it to Mike was like, oh my gosh, absolutely go. And then I said it to a friend of mine. And they said, if for nothing else, for the experience of the interview process. So, so it depends on, what's going on in your head, where you feel about yourself, the support and the people that you have around you, which kind of leads me into thinking like the importance of the people that you keep around you is just so great. Like we can't even really put like it into words how important it is. And then sometimes people, they're like surrounded by people that are jealous or pulling them down or whatever. So maybe if that friend at the donut shop with you was like, oh God, no, he's like, she could have said a million things.
Right.
But instead she was like, yeah, you write that note.
Yeah. And that's a good point because we do surround ourselves with an eclectic of people with eclectic personalities, and people who are miserable want people around them to be miserable. And I think that sometimes we bury our confidence or we don't see ourselves the way people around us see us. And if the people around you are seeing you in a better light than you're seeing yourself at that point, and they're boosting you up and saying, of course no one wants to see someone fail, no one wants to see someone upset, no one wants to see someone like that you purposely set them up for failure. But if you're that person that's like, no, like definitely you should go for it because you are X, Y, and Z, or even if it is for the experience of the interview, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And pointing out those things, it's the same thing with pointing out people's flaws. Like, okay, yeah, no, I totally get it, but maybe you need to work on this, and that's going to make you, a better person or a better fit for that position. I don't know. I feel like it's just the theme of this year maybe is just like there's so many people I have around them that they doubt themselves, that they deserve their life they're living when I think they deserve better, and they can't get out of their own way, or they keep making excuses for the why. And maybe that's why the last week I've been in a funk, because I'm like, maybe I'm being that person to myself now, making excuses for the why I'm not doing something when I was never that person. So it's like, am I helping these people? Being around them too much, is their negativity like wearing off on me, or is it just like a time in my life where I'm taking a pause and being like reevaluating things, and maybe not reevaluating on like the good side of things and reevaluating on like the negative side of things?
Well, maybe you're just in a moment of like growth, because if you don't feel good about where you're at, I've heard recently that if you're like super uncomfortable with where you're at, but like you're taking the time to notice that and wondering why, so you'll push through to the next step. I feel like people that are stuck, that just like blame their circumstances and, are negative and all that stuff, they're not looking for well, how do I change this then? They're not even really admitting the problem probably.
Right.
So here you are, and you're saying, here's where I'm at. Why is this? Is it because of this, or this? And you're, kind of pushing through it. So I think that that's important. But it is true, if you surround yourself with negative people that, don't expect much from life, that don't push themselves, that's exactly what you're going to wake up and do the next day. Because that's what's like familiar then. It becomes normal. It becomes now your standard is very low.
Well, it's so easy too, because if you're unhappy with your life and you're watching someone else who might be doing something that's making them happy, but it pisses you off, the first question is, why is it pissing you off? And does it really affect you? And then again, like, then why is it pissing you off? Like, it's this vicious cycle.
Some people are just really annoying. I was on social media today, which on vacation with my family, I was on social media very little. And so this morning I'm having my coffee and I like was scrolling. I mean, I feel bad to say it. I won't say the person's name, but I saw this person pop up and I was like, oh God, here she is again. So annoying. Blah, blah, blah. And there's no rhyme or reason. It just rubs me the wrong way. Like I like them. I like their whatever. I like everything she's got going on. It's like bravo. But instinctively, I was like, oh God, yeah, this girl always annoys me. There's nothing I can do about it. But I don't know if it's jealousy or if it's just like she rubs me the wrong way.
There's definitely people out there that rub me the wrong way, that they did nothing absolutely to me. Sometimes it's just like, I'm so sorry. It's your face.
There's this poor person does not stand a chance. Like we're not wired to like each other. It's so, I mean, we're nice, we're cordial, we're obviously friends on Instagram. But yeah, I'm just like, ooh.
She probably feels the same way about you, so it's okay.
I was thinking that, I'm like, oh my gosh, who follows me that now that I'm posting, back into my regular scheduled programming, they're like, oh, she's back. Like, no rhyme or reason, but her and her Disney or her and her kids or her and her cycle stuff just annoys the crap out of me. I mean, that's fine. Like, that's life. We're not supposed to. It's quality over quantity.
Yeah, it's
we're not supposed to
unrealistic to think that you're going to like everybody.
I know.
Sometimes again, the reality of you're going to like someone for no, or you're not going to like someone for no apparent reason.
Exactly. I know, no rhyme or reason. It's wild. But either way, still show up for yourself, still share your story, share your life, because why not? Because there's going to be people that you annoy the crap out of, and that's fine. That's a them problem. Like, it's totally them. Probably has nothing to do with you, and they probably don't even understand it themselves. But then there's going to be people out there that need your story, that needs the laugh, or that needs the insight, or that needs, when you post something, it's going to remind them of something. And like that, the radio show today that just like inspired you to then now have this thought all day, and then to share it with me and now we get to share with the listener, is just like this ripple effect.
Right.
And it's kind of cool to think that you're so in control. We feel so out of control in what we can, do in life and what we have power over. There's so much that we don't choose. But then to focus on the things that you are choosing is so powerful and helpful. When I do my fitness classes, I always like to remind everybody that, you don't choose your circumstances, but you have so much power in what you choose to do with where you're put in life and who you're put next to in life. And just keep choosing things that are going to make you proud at the end of the day. And then your ripple effect is just going to be, this positive, beautiful, incredible experience for others and yourself, right?
Yeah. So, I think it goes back to trying to remember to hit the reset button, whether it's once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever, especially with everything happening. I feel like I've been on like repeat with people, especially like people I just bump into, meet, that I don't like have a real strong relationship with, but when people are talking about how out of whack the world is and what's going on in this world, and I don't like to talk politics with majority of the people. And I just keep saying, we got to focus on what we can control, because what's happening out there is something that we cannot control. And if we don't control the way we're responding to it, it's going to affect everything in our life that we can control. Our relationships, our jobs, our careers, our relationships. I think I just repeated things twice.
That's okay. Just repeat it.
But just
I need to hear it.
The way we act and how we show up. So,
yeah, it's so interesting, because you think that you just go through the day and it doesn't really matter what you eat, drink, read, what you look at, who you spend your time with. But it all adds up and creates this reality for you. So, and I loved, recently I heard how, if you don't know what somebody's like, look at their circle. Look at like the 3 people that they spend their time with the most, and you'll see what that person's like. And it's like, ooh, it kind of makes you pause, like, oh my gosh, wait a second. I spend my time with, I think back to myself in high school. And I mean, I went through phases of but I had my core group of friends, which, thank God for them, I still have them. But I would kind of like go off and like, oh, maybe this is going to be me, or maybe this is going to be me, and you'd hang out with these different groups of people. And in those moments, it's like, if that had stuck, who would I be today just because of their influence?
Right.
And it's like, what if people met me then, when you're hanging around people that aren't, going after their goals, or that are just kind of like we talked about earlier, just really low standards for themselves even, and just kind of barely getting through and placing blame on everybody else, or there's a million things and personality traits and whatever that I don't want to be. But if I'm hanging around people like that, whether I want to or not, I'm going to kind of take that on, and it's going to become a part of myself. The word of this year for you was consistency, right? It's so interesting now that we're like halfway through the year. I don't think, my word was clarity, rolled over from last year. Yeah, it's just so interesting when you put your mind to something that says that this year I want different. This year I want to do this in a new way or a better way. And then it's kind of like you're chasing that all year, and it keeps you focused. It keeps you grounded. I guess that's the whole point of to-do lists and goals.
And it gets you pissed off when you realize a week went by and you weren't consistent with shit.
Shame on us. It's okay. I was on vacation and I like barely did anything good for myself other than just like be present with my family.
Yeah, then that's all you need to do on vacation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the bare minimum. You're on vacation. You should be solving world problems. So when you're on vacation,
Listen, let's be honest. I'm not solving world problems when I am at my best day at home.
maybe
either.
that's 2026 word. Solve world
Solve
problems.
world hunger. Yeah.
Yeah. My grandma used to say, show me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are.
Gosh, I love that.
And then I've seen a video keep popping up on Instagram, and there was this guy saying like one of the best things you can do for your children, and it's going to come out really wrong how I'm saying it, just obviously, but he's like, if you're helping your kids choose their circle because you want them around good people and you want them around kids that have good parents, because one thing can go wrong if they're hanging out with the wrong person. Mm-hmm. And just because they have a good head on the shoulders and you are a good parent doesn't mean that all those instincts are going to take control. And they might be like, oh, well, just I'm going to try this one time. And then who the hell knows what happens after that.
I know. That is so scary. I spent a lot of time on vacation with my older like nieces and nephews, and God bless my sister and her husband, because they have 3 teenagers right now. And my niece, it was her birthday and she turned 13 while we were all together. And I just thought to myself, man, you're such a better kid than I was when I was 13, but like, who knows? Like, the night is young. Like, she's just turned 13, but it is so important to like have a team and have a crew and to be open and talk about, the consequences and what could happen and who you want to be. I mean, I feel like we know so much more about like life nowadays, even just like how to kind of mold the future generations. And I mean, we could either just like skim past it and be like, yeah, that's all like just BS. Or you can really tap into it and be like, okay, this is my responsibility now. How do I help them be the best that they can be? And not that I'm like sending them into the army, isn't that their slogan? But like, it's so important. And it is such a heavy responsibility.
It's weird because I feel like we talk about this a lot, like communication. A lot of people lack communication or how to speak to people or keeping open up the line of communication. But I feel parents today maybe are able to communicate and have open conversations with their children better than they did back when we were growing up, because our parents were taught like we don't talk about things, or it was more of a shove it under the rug kind of society that we lived in. Mm-hmm. And from what I've seen from all the parents that I know, watching them when their relationship with their children, that they're a little bit more vocal, that they can speak about, what you're feeling, what the kids are feeling, and like trying to get to a resolution, which makes them feel safer to come to the parents to talk to them if there's a problem or an issue. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that when our parents were parenting us, it was more like you had to show like who's the boss almost. And it was like you had to be strong and you couldn't show weakness. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because we're Italian. So that was like our, generational curse almost, is that we're Italian and we're Catholic. So you had to be a certain way. And there was just, this is what you did and how you acted as an adult, as the leader, But then now, maybe it is because of like social media, because I find so many people being so vulnerable on their platforms of social media, or even like therapists or doctors or anybody that like goes on and then kind of shares their wisdom, or like even just people like you and I that just post about our real lives, and then other people can watch and we all learn from one another that, it's okay to not always be strong, and it's okay to all of a sudden be able to, need support and reach out for that support where it wasn't always that way. Like the keeping up with the Joneses was a phrase back in the day because that's what everyone was trying to do.
No, I think it's worse now.
Why? Because of social media? Or just like in general?
In general. Like, I think that growing back up, everyone was just like, okay, they were happy, they were modest, they lived their life, and it really didn't matter what their neighbor was doing or what their best friend was doing.
Oh my God, but what about everyone's yards? Like everyone's so worried the grass is greener on. I mean, all those like slogans and sayings because people were so concerned.
To an effect, I don't think that maybe this is a different monetary, but I feel like people get themselves in major debt today trying to keep up with the Joneses than they did back then.
No, I think it's the same. I just think that it's more in our face now because of social media.
That could
like,
be it.
I say this all the time too about like murderers and stuff. It's like, no, there's the same kind of crazy people out there. We just know about it now because back in the day, the Pony Express like only got so much news out. And it was like, hey, okay, only the one, stabbing of the year gets to go in the Pony Express. Whereas now you hear about it every day.
Right.
So, I mean, who knows? I'm sure there's great research out there. Had we planned this to talk about this, we could have shared that research with you. But I don't know. It's interesting because now you just see. So not only do you see like their white picket fence and their perfectly manicured gardens and, all these things and how they look when they're going out to, drive their kids to school at drop off. But now all you have to do is click a button on Instagram or follow them on Facebook and you're led into now their living room and their kitchen and what they're cooking every day. And do they meal prep? And oh my gosh, look at this, delivery service that they get. And I mean, there's so much more, but that's where being self-aware and kind of doing work on yourself and having a good circle around you that's going to remind you like you're doing okay just as you are. And sometimes people on Instagram and they do that whole like de-influencing thing where they'll be like, let me show you the real life, let me take away the mask. And that's so hard to do. But I love when you can kind of remember, hey, it's going to be okay. Like nobody's life is perfect.
Right.
Like you always have to remember that, the facade of this perfect thing isn't real.
Right. And then that should be easier for people to take their shot.
Totally.
Because we're all the same.
But
we
it's
all put our pants on one leg at a time.
I know, but it's so hard to remember. I'm just thinking of like celebrities and then instantly Mickey Mouse popped into my head.
Oh, of course. So all the celebrities in the world and the one person that pops into your head is Mickey Mouse.
Well, I'm just picturing him like waking up in the morning and getting himself ready. Like, I mean, Mickey's on another level.
He's not real, right?
Don't do that.
I think you need to call your therapist and dig deep on this whole Mickey thing.
Oh my God, Danielle. I'm living high, like on the fantasy here.
We're not talking about Michael Jordan or Kanye West or Taylor Swift. We're talking about fucking Mickey Mouse.
Do you expect anything else?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. So you literally said celebrity.
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest one that pops into my head right away.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we were on our like Disney trip and my sister and I look at each other and we're like, are we enjoying this more than like our nieces and nephews and my children?
Yes, the answer is yes.
So then
I saw some of the pictures. Yes.
Yes, our smiles are huge. So that just shows us that even as adults, you need a little fun and magic and you treat yourself because you deserve it too. It's not just, the kids that, need excitement in their life and to believe in these fantasies or to believe that there's greatness in the world and all that stuff. But then I started thinking, so like my family, when like growing up, we did like lots of different adventures and, my parents would make like big moments, even out of the smallest moments. And it was cool. So now as an adult, and I said this to my sister, I was like, I think that they are at the time of part of their lives where they're soaking it all in and they're just like these little sponges. And then we had that too. And the things that we were soaking up at that point in our life, I mean, of course, everyone had bad days and, there was all like chaos and da-da-da-da.
Bad years.
But like, these, as you're soaking it all up, like we had, for the most part, really good things that we were soaking up. Now as an adult, I get to like kind of relive that. by seeing, like, going through it again and, enjoying moments with my family and watching my kids. So now I think that my children are just soaking it all up, that they're one day going to be in my shoes, hopefully feeling very grateful, very blessed for the life that they have, like constantly striving to, do the same for their children. And then we kind of like try to shave away all like the negative things that we were conditioned with in life, and then just like pass down the good things to the kids, which happens to be my love of Disney. So there's that.
So I'm guessing that's your high of the week.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
High of the week, blanket statement, my family trip.
Well,
it was great.
Yeah, and then the family trip was for your mom's birthday.
It was for my mom's birthday, who, by the way, I don't know, she's so funny. She's like, don't sing to me. So we had the waiters at the restaurant. We're like, okay, we're under strict rules. No singing. The restaurant cannot make a thing of this. But they were like, well, we have to sing. And so all of us, we just whispered the happy birthday song. All the kids thought it was hilarious. I'm like, I guess this is going to be like our new tradition.
That's awesome.
We're like, Mom, whether you like it or not, we are going to celebrate you. And I mean, we've definitely like gotten together, tried to be at her house, saying happy birthday, whatever. But it was never like we're all going out to dinner for Mom's birthday. Everybody else got a birthday at the fancy like place where they cook in front of you for their birthdays, or a party in the backyard, barbecue, whatever it was. But it was never really like that for Mom, because she didn't demand it. Yeah, she would do everything for everybody else, and she wouldn't do it for herself. And then the rest of us are just like, well, who's gonna do it for her? And then like it was always like a scramble last minute. So anyways, I'm an adult now, and it's time.
That's
you know what
good.
I mean?
I'm
Like you
glad
gotta.
You woke up and realized you're an adult. And Mickey's your biggest celebrity. That's great. That might be the low of my week.
You know what? That's not a bad low. The week you've had. I'm just...
No.
No, but I think that it's time when you can see who needs you and where you put your energy. So the months that I was begging my mom to agree to just leave the house and go on vacation for the first time in I don't even know how many years, she hasn't been on vacation. So it was all worth my effort.
Bird. I love that you had a great time. I love watching the photos and the videos.
It was fun.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, definite high. What was your high? Oh no, that's a rough week. Okay, well.
Yeah, no. One of my highs, I closed a really hard deal.
Bravo.
So that made it to the closing table. So that was good. And
congratulations.
I was every time you have a hard deal, you second guess yourself and the job that you did.
Oh, yeah.
Not knowing if you did your best, or even if you know you did your best, don't know if your client saw you do your best. So it was nice. They gave me reassurance that they saw me do my best. So that was good. And then my husband was like, thank God, or else I'd have to hear about this for the next couple weeks. So got a high for him too.
Oh gosh. Congratulations to Jay.
Yeah. My low probably was just like the lazy state I was in this week. Like catatonic. Like I felt like I walked around like I was on drugs all week. Like so tired. And I shouldn't be. Like, I was sleeping 8 hours, but I would wake up the next day just feeling so tired. So, I don't know if it was, the air quality was really bad. I really bad allergies and asthma, so I think maybe that had to do with it. So, I'm blaming it on the weather. And
blame it on the air quality.
Yeah.
You know what? You wouldn't even, okay, do you think back in the day, before we had our phones telling us what the air quality is?
Like, I would have blamed it on something else, but my purifier said it was a very bad air quality day.
That's funny.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I was thinking, not the air quality, but I was thinking to myself, when you go, and you are pushing and giving your all, and you don't allow yourself for those moments of just like rest and resetting, and you're in the thick of it. Like, I don't know. It's like it has to be something that you can do, even if it's a short thing that you do, because if you don't give your body rest, your body's going to demand it. So if you're like under this emotional stress, or there's a lot of things weighing you down, I mean, it happens to me all the time that I'm like, why am I so tired? It's like, oh yeah, think about what you've been going through. Think about what you were dealing with, a really hard deal that you had to close, and all these other things in life. And then, yeah, it's going to just take you out. That and the air quality took you out.
All right, so the highlights and the air quality and Mickey Mouse really aging us.
You got to stay young, even with this poor air quality.
Yeah. Well,
Do your best out there, folks.
what was your low so I can hurry up and leave here and go get Mickey Mouse's autograph?
There's probably going to be a long line no matter where you go, cruise or the parks. My low is just like that like nonstop striving for balance, like trying to give your all, but then wanting also to be a good family member, and then wanting to go for goals, business wise, and then trying to. Is this going to be like my life? Am I going to be on my deathbed being like, oh, I wish I could have balanced it all better? It's like the never ending
I don't think
struggle.
that's one of the things people say on their deathbed. Not that I talk to a lot of people on their deathbed, but I don't think you're going to have that. And I think eventually you'll figure it out.
Thanks.
Your kids are getting older, and I think once your business officially opens, you'll have more of a schedule and a regiment. So that's going to help. I think right now it's just chaos.
Right now.
So
I know. It's
and
chaos.
they say embrace the chaos.
Embrace it.
And you know what they also say?
I know what you say.
We're going to keep being us so you can keep being you. Bye, guys.